Hey guys, I'm a little worse for wear looking. Sorry about that, but hoping you guys are not here to look at me because you would be very disappointed. I hope you're here for the talk about the movies. Um, so I hope some of you enjoyed my Monday stream where I covered some more of my Christmas horror faves. And I haven't really done anything else this week. So you guys are kind of getting a treat before Christmas as I'm doing another installment of my dinner with the Palma. Uh, Trying to adjust that camera again a little bit. Um, so I don't know how many of you guys got set up with a dinner portion. Like I always say, this is not a requirement to attend the stream. I mean, I wouldn't, even if I could come and check all your houses, I'm not going to say, hey, you're going to be denied access to the stream if you don't do the dinner portion. The dinner portion is just a little extra thing. If you want to participate, great. If you don't, that's great too. But I don't know how many of you guys saw what the dinner portion was going to be. And I swear it never fails, guys. Brandon was sound asleep. And a little bit before I started this stream, he got up and started the pacing again. So hopefully he won't start the barking where I have to actually get up and go in there and tend to him. Because my dinner with the Palma, the dogs practically ruined it. And I apologize to anybody that was in here during that particular stream to see the chaos that went on last time. And I love my dogs, I really do. But I don't know why they start this every time I get ready to do a stream. Brandon gets up, and I know he's old and he's feeble and he's got dementia and all that. I know, but when he gets like this, it winds the other ones up unbelievably so. Hey, Texas. Trying to adjust my camera there a little bit because it's just doesn't quite seem right there. So, anyways, you know what? I'm gonna go turn that light off back there that I accidentally left on. So y'all don't see this cluttered room. And also, guys, I know it's close to Christmas. The holiday season is upon us, as they say. And I fully realize that there might not be a lot of you in here tonight. Because some of you may have already made the trip if you're traveling to be with your family. We're getting ready here in Louisville, at least, and probably other areas of Kentucky as well, to get hit by an Arctic blast with single digit and below zero temperatures, and some snow and sleet and all of that good stuff. So, I don't know exactly what time it's going to start. I think it's kind of up in the air because they said one time, and then they said another time, and all that. So hopefully, I'll get done with this stream before all the chaos hits and we possibly lose power and or internet. So I'm going to attempt to do this and try to make it short and sweet and to the point and all that stuff so that you guys that are in here get to enjoy it. But also in case something should happen where I lose internet, lose power, lose both, whatever the case may be. And I might not lose anything at all. And these damnable flies are still, they eased up. I swear. I hate to be complaining about these all the time, but it's like And Brandon is driving me crazy because, bless his heart, I can hear his toenails clicking on the our new floor in there. I mean, it was one thing when the carpet was down, but this, and I love my vinyl flooring that looks like hardwood. But Brandon was a lot quieter when he was on carpet than just, I'm just hearing click, 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 click. And guys, I must admit, I've been kind of cranky lately, agitated and all, easily agitated and all that. And I don't know what, I'm not really stressed at work. I'm getting tired because I'm handling a lot of, well, I'm handling a fair amount of tickets, but my supervisors tell me I'm doing a good job and all of that. And even the gal that divvies out the tickets to everybody said that I was keeping up with my tickets well, and she shared that with my supervisor. Texas, you say it's hitting here as well. No snow, but ours will be part of that. Yeah, I mean, I've been talking to people in different areas all day today. Of course, in Colorado, it was snowing. Virginia, it was snowing. Um, and certainly these below normal temperatures and the snow are, isn't that pretty much abnormal for Texas to have that? Texas, I mean the state of Texas, to have that kind of stuff. Because I know they get snow sometimes. Um, but what'll be really wild is if they get a lot, for some reason, get a lot of snow in Louisiana where Dirk is at, because they hardly ever see any snow at all. So that'll be, good Lord. I don't know. When I got these glasses, they told me that they were, kind of supposed to be smudge resistant, but they never really have been. And then over time, I think whatever coating they put on there has worn off. And so the least little smear I get on these glasses, and it just drives me freaking crazy. You guys can tell I'm irritated, can't you? Well, I mean, I'm tired of looking and uh, looking out of my glass, and it's like somebody's put Vaseline all over my lenses. I mean, that's literally what it's like. And there's hair and all kinds of other shit on my glasses right now. And every time I touch them with my finger, they get another big old smear. So let's, oh man. So, needless to say, with the snow, the freezing temperatures, possibility of people losing power and or internet, all kinds of things, and the holiday season, it may be possible that I have two, maybe three in here the whole time, which is cool. Um, Texas, you say not really. It snows more up north or to the west. But last year we had that freeze that screwed up the electrical grid, which sucked. Oh, yeah, I remember that. But, I look at it this way, it could be worse because and I tell myself I'm not going to do this. And then I end up doing it. But my sister in law had posted um, the tornado outbreak video that somebody had did on the tornado that hit Bowling Green, which is where my brother and sister-in-law and my two nephews live. Thankfully, it missed their neighborhood pretty much, but the old neighborhood that they used to live in Bowling Green, it tore it completely up. When these, and you're talking about EF3, EF4, or F3 and F4 strength tornadoes. There was also one last year on December 10th at night, and you guys know that tornadoes that hit at night are a lot more dangerous because the only way usually you can see the funnel is by lightning flashes. And by the time that you see it, it may be right up on you then. Um, it not only tore up a lot of things and killed some people in Bowling Green, but it killed a lot of people in Mayfield, Kentucky. There was actually a candle factory where basically it just demolished the whole candle factory, and evidently people were trapped. Like, I'm talking about 100 people trapped under that rubble for about a week while rescuers were looking for people that were still alive, and more than likely looking for the deceased as well. And what's really scary to me, um, I'm sad for all the other families and stuff, but my dad and my uncle, dad, since he retired, has gotten really into going to sales, flea markets, auctions, different places, and he buys and then tries to resell some stuff, and he really enjoying it. Well, guess what area him and my uncle Scotty were in when that tornado hit Mayfield? They were just leaving that area at about the time the tornado hit Mayfield. So that just like it freaking scares the life out of me thinking about that. Even though nothing happened, they escaped, any kind of catastrophe or anything. But literally, that tornado was barreling down on them. And they say never try to outrun a tornado. Well, that's exactly what my Uncle Scotty was trying to do. He had the pedal to the floor, trying to outrun this monstrous storm. Um, and when my mom told me about that, and I had no idea that they were going to be in Mayfield that night or anywhere near that area. And so I'm so glad I didn't know about it until it was over, because I would have been absolutely terrified. Um, the tornadoes also hit Taylor County, where Steve's mom lives in Campbellsville. Thankfully, I don't think it was too bad in Campbellsville, but some people lost basically everything they had. And there might have been one person that got killed in Taylor County. Hey guys, I'm not trying to bum anybody out this close to Christmas time, but I would like to, in Texas again, you're probably well versed in tornado safety, but I think some other places you just never really think that it's going to happen to you or your community or anything like that. And sadly, not enough people take these storm watches and warnings seriously. And Steve's one of them, unfortunately. He says, nah, it'll be okay. It's not going to be a big deal. And he actually gets irritated when the tornado sirens go off over and over again. And he says, I'm trying to sleep. I said, Steve, you don't understand. I know it's aggravating, but those things are meant to keep you safe. When you hear those things, you're supposed to be headed for cover. You're not supposed to be laying in your bed sleeping. You're supposed to be wherever your tornado safe place is. And again, sadly, I don't think enough people take those watches and warnings seriously. And I went through a spell where I was really terrified of storms when I was younger. And then I got kind of where I was kind of flippant about it. But now, in the last few years, there have been just too many bad ones. And they say that tornadoes are actually getting worse, where you're hearing more F4s and F5s instead of, F0s or F1s, which do enough damage in and of themselves, and also straight line winds. But, you're dealing with monster storms when you're dealing with F4s and F5s. You could be dealing with 300-mile-per-hour winds, and with those F5s or 300+ mile-per-hour winds, I don't know anything literally that could withstand that. Not any above ground building or structure, a house or a place where people work or anything like that. And that is literally, I think, why when you see those pictures and see the video footage after a strong tornado has been through the area, where it just looks like a war zone. It just looks like, and I'm not meaning to try to put God into this, but it's literally like the hand of God scooped down and just kind of just leveled everything. And that is the devastation that Mother Nature can do when she's pissed, unfortunately. So I'll get off my soapbox now and quit talking about tornadoes and tornado safety. But I do hope that, you know, people continue to study these. We have these super smart people that study the storms and figure out ways to make things more safe for people. But then we got to do our job on our end and take this stuff seriously. And when they say take cover, take cover. Don't wait. Don't hold off on it. Don't have a wait and see attitude. When they say take cover, it's headed your way, then do those things. And if nothing happens or very little happens, then groovy. But if something big does happen, at least you gave it the old college try and you tried to protect you and your family, and your pets as well, who are part of your family. But anyway, now I'm going to get off my soapbox about the tornado safety. So tonight's De Palma movies that we are going to cover, or I'm going to cover, are Casualties of War, which I just went back and kind of refreshed my memory on before this stream, and Bonfire of the Vanities, which I had never seen and actually watched it last night in preparation for the stream. So I don't know how many of you in the stream now have seen both of these movies. I have no idea for you people that may be watching it later, have watched it, or have watched either of these movies. But to get back to the dinner portion before we get started, and I probably won't start in on my dinner portion till we actually get to the movie that I picked my dinner portion from, which is Bonfire of the Vanities, which will be the second movie. But because that movie takes place in New York City, pretty much, or New York, I was looking around online at Grubhub to see what I could do, because I didn't really want some hoity-toity, rich people type of cuisine, because some of that stuff looks nasty. So I decided to go with the New York style cheesecake, and I don't know if anybody can see that there. There's kind of a glare. But my New York style cheesecake also has some caramel sauce there. I don't know, that looks like a lot of caramel sauce. I think I'm going to go ahead and drizzle this over my cheesecake. I don't know if I'm going to put all that on there. That looks like a lot of caramel sauce. And let that sit for a little bit. And then I'm going to cover it up because those damn flies will probably want to go after both the cheesecake and the caramel sauce, I'm sure. But anyway, that's what I'm doing for my dinner portion, which I've always said while doing these streams that it's not really a dinner per se because of how late that I do these. and it's more of like a snack option. So I think since we don't have too many, and I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet and to the point, I'm going to, I guess, tempt fate again and see if we've got a lovely trailer for Casualties of War, since that's the first one we're going to be covering. So bear with me just a second here, guys. All right. So I am going to, if I haven't forgotten how to do this, I'm going to share my screen. Okay. I'm going to get rid of that. I'd already gotten rid of that, actually. Okay. So we're going to share my screen. And I'll make this bigger when it when it starts here. Let me exit full screen for now. Sorry about that if that makes anybody ill.
Got a dog.
After this ad is over.
Hi. Oh, what you got there? All right, go get it.
When it comes to lasting relationships, we're thinking of every mile. The new Hyundai Tucson. It's your journey.
From the director and the producer of The Untouchables.
Hey, Sarge, you gotta give me a minute here on this thing we're doing. I don't want nothing but charmed people around me on this one, gentlemen, so bring your good luck stuff. Like this, Sarge? This is nuts. We ain't supposed to be doing this. Everybody else is up for this. This is kidnapping, ain't it, Sarge?
Be advised, you best just relax and try to forget about this thing. Is that clear?
Yeah, you got a weapon. We all got weapons. Anybody can blow anybody away, which is the way it ought to be. Always.
Military court-martials are notoriously lenient.
My job, so, was to kill communist aggressors, count the bodies.
Even if these 4 guys get convicted, they're not going to do any real time.
You throw guys like us in the stockade and you're helping nobody but the Viet Cong.
If I was them, I'd be looking for a little payback.
Somebody stumbles, they don't mean to shoot you, they're sorry. You could get killed real easy.
A man like you, wife, baby daughter, I'd be considering those factors very carefully.
You don't have to try and kill me, man. I told them. And they don't care! Just because each of us might be blown away, everybody's acting like we can do anything, man. You think you're standing up to me? Ah! Oh, you like the Army, don't you, Erickson? This ain't the Army, Sarge.
Michael J. Fox, Sean Penn, Casualties of War.
Okay. So, I don't know how many of you guys in here have seen Casualties of War. Sorry about that, guys, but I had actually forgotten that this was a Brian De Palma film until I actually was going back and looking at his filmography, and I was like, oh yeah, he did do Casualties of War. So I am I want this to come out right. I don't want you guys to think like I'm a warmonger or something, but there are several films that deal with war that I think are really well made films. I'm most interested in ones that deal with the Vietnam War, even though I was not old enough or even born during during the start of the Vietnam War to know anything firsthand about it. And I'm talking about news footage and stuff like that. Now we can watch all the news footage we want on YouTube and stuff, but I know there are some people, maybe some people that come to my streams that are old enough, hopefully not old enough where they got drafted and went and got shipped off to Vietnam, but old enough, they were a kid that was old enough they weren't old enough to go to war, but old enough to know what was going on. So I'm looking at things like the Vietnam War as an outsider. And I don't want people to think that I'm anti-American or, any of that anti stuff. The only thing I am anti is anti-war. And I always have been. Growing up, I was. Um, and some people believe that when it comes down to it at times that there's no other choice but to have a war. That some countries are run by such sadistic and crazy leaders that you just literally have to go over there and take them out, or that's the indication that I get. Um, But I, on the other hand, feel like nothing really good has come out of any war that the United States has been a part of. Um, so, I'm not anti soldier. I'm not anti American. I'm not any of that. I'm just anti war. So there was a big, historically, there was a big uproar against the Vietnam War when it was going on. So I tend to gravitate more towards those particular movies that depict Vietnam or in the Vietnam War. Now, I realize that not all of this stuff is going to be 100% accurate. And Texas would probably back me up on this because, like, when I was talking about the Untouchables, he was telling about how that was really not historically accurate. So the same may be said for some parts of Casualties of War. I mean, they did say that although it was based on a true incident, it's based on a book by Daniel Lang. I have not read the book. I would like to actually after rewatching the film. Um, that some of the things that happen in the movie, I don't think like the integral parts that happen in the movie, but how they add things for dramatical purposes or combine characters and all kinds of things to make movie magic pretty much. But this movie has Michael J. Fox and Sean Penn in it, and I think both guys do a phenomenal job in this, as well as Brian De Palma doing a phenomenal job at directing this. This movie has been hailed by critics as a masterpiece. It's based on the true story of a squad of soldiers caught up in the moral quagmire of wartime Vietnam. Witness to a vile crime, Private Erickson, played by Michael J. Fox, is forced to stand alone against his fellow soldiers and commanding officers, Sergeant Meserve, played by Sean Penn, a powerful and charismatic man pushed over the edge of barbarism. Can't even talk, guys. By the terror and brutality of combat. With sweeping scope, action, and raw power, master filmmaker Brian De Palma creates a devastating and unforgettable tale of one man's quest for sanity and justice amidst the chaos of war. Okay, so although this movie is not as, I almost don't want to say as emotionally charged, because there is an emotionally charged element to it, but it seems to draw back a little from the actual horrors of Vietnam. And I'm not saying that Daniel Lang's book did the same thing. I'm just saying that maybe artistic choices were made in order to make the movie more palatable for the audiences that were going to see it. Because I have seen other Vietnam based movies be a lot more violent. You saw a lot more. I mean, you realize when this poor Vietnamese woman is being raped, and she's pretty much being gang raped by these guys in this in the squadron, except for Private Erickson, played by Michael J. Fox, who his moral compass evidently is still firm. And this movie does definitely show the horrors of war. And although Sean Penn plays this character to the hilt, and I think he really does a good job, I did not like the guy. He was very cocky, or I should say I didn't like the character. It's not, I don't dislike Sean Penn, the actor. But the character he is playing, I certainly disliked, which means that Sean Penn pulled it off beautifully. Because he was cocky, like he thought he could get away with anything. And there's a scene in the movie where Michael J. Fox has told one of his superiors what really happened, what really went down. And the guy basically tells him, these guys aren't going to serve a lot of time. And he says, you should be thinking about that. You're a husband and you've got a little girl, you've got a family. And when these guys get out of whatever time they do serve, they're going to be pretty pissed. That is never really shown in the movie. The final scene, he sees a woman on a bus who reminds him so much of the woman who was raped and then murdered by his squadron during Vietnam. And he's still haunted by the memories of that. And he calls this woman by that girl's name. And she turns around and he realizes, no, it's not her. And she says, do I remind you of someone? And he says, yes. And they have this it's actually a beautiful scene because Private Erickson, Michael J. Fox's character, is literally during the majority of the movie or the majority of this wraparound, trying to come to terms with what happened in Vietnam. Because he's literally, like I said, he's haunted by what the other members of his squadron did, the horrible things that he was witness to, that he didn't participate in, but that he was witness to. And I think he literally tortures himself with that memory, because I guess maybe he thought he should have did more to save her and he didn't. But upon rewatching this movie, I realized that the character couldn't really couldn't do a lot. He was the lone voice of reason in that squadron. The other guys were just like, yeah, she's just this girl's just here for us to use and abuse. She's an extension of the enemy that we're fighting here. She's an extension of the Viet Cong. So we can't get all of them and beat them down. So we're going to rape her and then end up murdering her. And it's really a stupid reason for them killing her. It's literally a non-reason to kill her, which makes it even worse. Because after raping her and stuff, she becomes sick and she's coughing. And I remember Sean Penn's character saying, and one of the other guys saying, she's gonna give us away with that coughing. It's like, fuck you, dude. You guys are the one that put her in this shape, that caused her to be ill like this. And then you're gonna blame her and act like she's doing this on purpose to give you away. So then they end up shooting her. And the scene where Sean Penn's character is screaming at the other guy, shoot her. I mean, he's literally demanding that they shoot this poor girl, who's already bloody and injured and God knows what else. And they do. They literally, they don't ask questions. They just act. And they shoot this poor girl. Hey, old curly jaws, you say, hope y'all doing well. Been busy. Hey, Dana, you guys get snow yet? I haven't looked lately, old curly jaws. We're supposed to get some, but I don't think it's quite got here yet. So, I don't think there's probably a whole lot more I could say about this movie. De Palma again does a fantastic job with this. I believe John C. Reilly is in this as well. Ving Rhames is in this. John Leguizamo. So it's a really well made, well acted. Y'all might not be able to hear that. Y'all may not be able to hear that because thankfully I'm not sharing my screen anymore. But that kind of scared me there for a second. But like I said, I really want to read Daniel Lang's book now. Yeah, so Sean Penn, Michael J. Fox, John C. Reilly, John Leguizamo, Ving Rhames, Don Harvey. Just trying to see if there was any other recognizable names here. But and too, this might not be everybody's cup of tea because war movies aren't everyone's cup of tea, are they? But I'm still trying to adjust this a little bit, but like I said, they're not everybody's cup of tea. And some people might be thinking, why are you even bothering covering these, Dana? Well, I'm covering them because I promised you guys that I would try to cover all the Brian De Palma films, not just the horror films, not just the suspense ones, not just comedies, not just dramas. And this, again, reinforces the idea that I said from the beginning, that Brian De Palma is a chameleon director. You cannot pin this guy down and say he's only a director of one type of movie because that just isn't so. So that is Casualties of War. If you've never seen it, I say find a for free version if you can. I actually don't have anything other than the DVD, which is what I rewatched today or this evening right before this stream. Because it's been several years since I've seen Casualties of War. So I still liked it. I was still angry by what these guys did. I literally was angry. And, oh, excuse me. I need to yawn there. But yeah, I would recommend it, especially if you've never seen it. But guys, again, please, if you don't already own it, find a for free version first, because just because I enjoy it, I would not want you to go spend money until you're very sure that this is something that's going to have repeated watchings. Oh, Curly Josh, you said watch Pearl, and it was kind of a letdown. I just wonder if it's that generational thing again, oh, Curly Jaws. Because a lot of us old school guys and gals, or I have heard that a lot of us old school guys and gals have liked Pearl and X. I can't remember. Did you like X, oh, Curly Jaws? Durkee say, it's colder than a well digger's ass in the middle of Alaska here in Duluth. Yeah, I wonder if y'all are going to get any. Are you going to get any snow down in Louisiana, Dirk? Durkee say, yeah, oh, Curly, Pearl wasn't as good as X. I think X kind of just came out there and knocked it out of the ballpark. So, and maybe that's what Curly Jaws is talking about. X was so out there and kind of in your face and stuff like that. So I can see where Pearl might be a letdown for some people. So guys, we're getting ready to go into the next film, which is Bonfire of the Vanities, which means yummy, yummy, yummy. I'm going to start in on my New York cheesecake. Now that some of that caramel sauce has dripped off there. This isn't bad. So you love Dex, oh, Curly Jaws. Dirk, you say it's snowing a little bit here, but it won't stick. Gotcha. I think some places might get 5 inches in Kentucky, and I guess southern Indiana maybe. Oh, speaking of Indiana, oh, Curly Jaws, is it snowing there yet? So anyway, I am going to try to find a trailer for Bonfire of the Vanities real quick here. There we go. Let's see. All right. So it looks like we got a trailer for this. I'm going to share my screen again. And we'll probably have a little bit of a
Okay. Here we go. My name is Peter Fallow, the man of the moment, the toast of the town. But it wasn't always this way. Let me tell you how it all began. In the 80s, making money and living well was all that mattered. And no one did it better than Sherman McCoy. Now he was a master of the universe.
Sorry, collated.
Let's not lose our composure over a few $100 million. No one could resist him. Not his mistress.
This could be the best sex I've had in a long time.
Not even his dog.
It's raining and he's not happy about it, Mr. McCoy.
Here am I, Bill.
I, on the other hand, was a reporter in need of a story.
This is Peter Fallow, the has-been.
Oh, Shantae.
In need of a spark. Which is exactly what I got.
It's a body.
It looks like...
It's an animal.
No. I think it's
dead.
it's a tire.
It's a
That's
dead
all.
tire?
I turned that spark into a flame.
Hello, Peter. I think there's a hell of a story.
We're investigating an automobile accident.
Yeah, on television. Last night, my wife, we said, well, we have a... Good Lord, we have a Mercedes.
Mr. McCoy, is this something you want to tell us?
And the flame spread. Did you say Henry Lamb was an honor student?
Good doesn't really apply at Rupert High. They're either cooperative or life-threatening.
Nothing is going to come of that little newspaper article.
I got him. There he is, Miss McCoy.
Absolutely nothing.
I'm going to jail.
And suddenly, I was the guy who had everything. Hey, when opportunity knocks, someone's got to answer the door.
I want to see the truth come out and burn every one of them, and there's only one way to do that.
What's that?
Lie.
Once upon a time, there was a solar flare.
Okay. So, Dirk, you say haven't seen that one, Dana, but can't say I've seen a bad De Palma film. So, are you talking about Bonfire of the Vanities, Dirk? DJ, you say that's a terrible trailer? So Curly Jaws, you say it's bad. Well, it's probably heading our way then if it hadn't already got here. Durgy say, I didn't hate Pearl. Mia Goth is awesome already, or awesome. Ready to see Infinity Pool, Cronenberg's son directed. It has Mia Goth and Alex Skarsgård. Ooh, that sounds interesting to me. Right here. Okay. So let's talk about Bonfire of the Vanities. Again, this is one that I had never seen. I had heard of it, but literally I don't understand why I never watched it because, like I said before, I love Tom Hanks. I usually watch anything he's in. But for some reason, this one just slipped past me. And not only does it have Tom Hanks in it, but you got Melanie Griffith. You got Bruce Willis. I mean, and then you got Daniel Moffat. You have Alan King. Alan King actually plays Melanie Griffith's husband in the movie, which just seems kind of oddball to me. But I really enjoyed this movie, and I didn't go to sleep last night because the movie was boring. Goodness gracious, I don't know if that cheesecake is coming back to haunt me or what. But I don't know if I'm just tired. You know, I think I've been fighting a cold and all that jazz. So maybe it was just catching up with me. But there were a couple of 2-3 times maybe that I had to rewind it back a little bit, go back and watch what I missed, because you know how you doze off for just a second and then your eyes pop open, you're like, geez, you know, I'm trying to watch this and I keep dozing off. And I literally didn't want to because I was enjoying the movie. So the basic story of this is Bruce Willis is basically a down and out reporter who's about to just go under. You know, he's going to lose his job and he's thinking of suicide and all kinds of things. Meanwhile, Tom Hanks plays a Wall Street tycoon who is married to Kim Cattrall, and I forgot to say that Kim Cattrall is in this movie, but he's married to Kim Cattrall. His mistress is Melanie Griffith. So he takes the dog, who is this cute little weenie dog. I don't know how many of you guys saw that in the trailer or could tell that it was a weenie dog. So he goes to take the dog out for a walk in the rain. And at first you might be thinking, he's a pretty good guy. He's going and taking his dog out. You know, most really rich guys wouldn't do that. They'd probably just relegate it to somebody else. But then you realize the real reason why he's wanting to take the dog out for a walk. It's so he can go to a phone booth to call his mistress. But what does he do? He ends up accidentally calling this house. His wife picks up and he calls her by his mistress's name. And of course, she knows her husband's voice and he realizes it's a mistake and he hangs up real quick and he's like, oh shit, you know. This is also one of the few movies, and it really didn't bother me. It's just unusual because I don't know if this is through Tom Hanks' choice or just the roles he gets handed out or what it is, but usually I don't hear Tom Hanks say fuck in movies. But he says it on more than one occasion in this. Also, I have not really seen Tom Hanks be so touchy-feely with either a naked or near-naked woman before in a movie. Except maybe if you count Big, but that one wasn't really that explicit. But Melanie Griffin is like just drops her drawers at the drop of a hat, pretty much. And you guys that like to look at Melanie Griffin's body will definitely get an eyeful in this movie. And it's not like she, you know, takes it all off, but she's standing there in sexy bra and panties at one point, and she's always rubbing herself up against Tom Hanks's character in the movie. And so they end up, like, his wife finds out he's got a mistress, and it puts a huge strain that's naturally on their marriage. And so that leads Tom Hanks to spend more and more time with his mistress. Okay. So he ends up going and picking her up, and they're going to go. I think her apartment's in Manhattan. So they're going to go back to Manhattan, back to her apartment. They end up taking a wrong turn and ending up in the Bronx, which is not a good area for them to end up being in. And, you know, they're trying to get back on, I guess, like an expressway or the main road to get back off in Manhattan. And they're driving through this really cruddy area in the Bronx. So they're almost there to the exit where they need to get off, and there's a big tire in their way. And so Tom Hanks gets out of the car. He's like, I got to move the tire. You just stay here. Everything will be okay. And these two guys, I'm not saying anything offensive or anything, but two black guys come out and they're kind of, one of them at least is a pretty tough looking character. And kind of start harassing Tom Hanks, and he gets scared, and Melanie Griffin gets scared, and she basically panics, and squeals tires and brings the cartoon. She's telling him to get in the car, hurry up and get in the car, and then she ends up running over the other guy, and he ends up in critical condition in a coma in the hospital. And you know what happens when rich white people end up injuring or killing a black person? We know what happens. It happened in 1990, and it's worse now. Robert Long, you say Bruce Willis on this movie. Yes, he is. Darky say, LOL, TJ, I was picturing a drunk ass Melanie Griffin on a beach, naked. You better watch that, Dirk. Your wife will hear you talking like that. Or she might see what you're typing, rather. Robert Long, you say Don Johnson should have come out and helped her. TJ, you say, ha, Dirk. Robert Long, you say, you know how you get hit in the head, you get a concussion? Yes, I do, Robert Long. All of this ultimately ends up in Tom Hanks getting arrested for this accident. And although he was there, he was not the one that hit the young boy. Melanie Griffin's character did that. But I knew from the first moment that I saw Melanie Griffin in this movie that she was bad news. Okay. And so when she turned on him, and she's basically a whore. That line came back to me from Dress to Kill, where Dennis Franz tells Nancy Allen, a Fifth Avenue whore is still a whore. And so that's exactly what I think about Melanie Griffin's character in this. She's a Fifth Avenue whore. Because not only was she messing around with Tom Hanks's character, she's messing around with some other guys in the film as well. And then a very old Alan King is her husband, and he's not getting any. She's just literally playing around with everybody else. And then Kim Cattrall ends up leaving Tom Hanks. And what happens to Bruce Willis's character? Well, let's talk about Bruce Willis's character. Like I told you at the beginning, he starts out pretty much as a down and out reporter who's on the verge of suicide, on the verge of losing his job. And when he hears about the court case with Tom Hanks's character, he's like, I got to get the inside scoop on this, basically. So he does, and ends up writing a book about it. And so at some point in time, Tom Hanks had recorded Melanie Griffin saying that she had actually run over the boy. And with that proof, they have to let Tom Hanks go. So Tom Hanks, although he's lost his wife in the process, but that's what happens when you play around, right, guys? But he ended up not having to stay in prison. And Bruce Willis's character becomes famous for his book, more famous than he ever thought he would be able to be. So, again, there's that Brian De Palma chameleon aspect again at work, because, again, this movie is totally different than any of the other movies I've talked about in these streams. It even has a scene, and I kid you not, guys, where a woman is drunk, she takes off her panties, she hops up on a copy machine and starts gyrating her nether regions and making copies of her nether regions. And I kid you not, this happens in the movie. And I was just giggling at that, because just the audacity of it, the ultra vulgarity of it, all of that, and the fact that Brian De Palma showed so much with that scene without actually showing anything. You know what I mean? And so creative about all aspects of this movie. And I have a greater appreciation for it than I ever thought I could have for it. And I definitely envision myself going back and rewatching this one, because it has a lot of comedy in it. Albeit some of it's probably could be considered black comedy, satire, especially about New York socialites, and all and that subculture of people in New York. So, again, I say, if you don't already own Bonfire of the Vanities, but by listening to me talk about it, you're kind of a little bit intrigued and would like to try it out, definitely try to find a for free version. There is a for free version currently on YouTube. So I would say definitely check that out. It's not, ultra fantastic quality or anything, but it is watchable. So before you spend any money on it, I would definitely go that route. So let me check the chat here. Robert Long, you say, did you watch a 1989 film with Don Johnson called Dead Bang? I have heard of it, Robert Long, but I have not seen it. Robert Long, you say, she's just messed up on some cocaine. So, guys, I've talked a little over an hour about both of these movies, which is, like I've said before, which generally I try to keep these my dinner with the Palmas not too long, and especially the night when I don't, so there's, this very Arctic weather system in process, and it's covering a lot of states. And, some of you guys might lose your power. I hope not. You could lose your internet. Thankfully, I have not lost any power or internet yet, and I'm hoping I don't. But I do want to remind everybody that I will not be doing a watch along this Saturday, of course, because this Saturday is Christmas Eve. And the following Saturday, I will be doing one for New Year's Evil. We're going to start about 7:15 Eastern time, because Darren is planning on being on the stream live with me. If anybody else is interested in joining in, of course, I will have the StreamYard link for you to click on in the chat and go backstage, and I will add you. I would love to have a whole group of us to do this. I'm hoping, at 7:15 Eastern time, that we will be doing it early enough where it wouldn't conflict with some people's New Year's activities. But if you are at a New Year's party, this a New Year's Eve party that's going to take a place, pretty much the whole night, I totally get that. But if you're not and you want something fun to do, then I say come on over at 7:15 Eastern time, and you don't necessarily have to be live, or if you want to be live audio only, that is fine. But I would like to, see if we could get a whole room full, or, as many as we could get in here for this New Year's Evil watch along. And, I'll have another, my dinner with De Palma. I'm going to go backwards here. Let's see. And I'm going to be able to tell you guys what the next two movies I'm going to be covering will be. Just give me 1 second here. So actually, the next two movies will be Raising Cain and Carlito's Way. So I have never seen Carlito's Way, so this will be another new one for me. I have seen Raising Cain, but it has been a little while. So you guys can look forward to that next Thursday. When I will have another, I guess, 4-day weekend, as I'm going to have this weekend. I am going to be off tomorrow. Yay, me. Sorry, I'm not meaning to sound like I'm bragging. But you know what's cool? I only started with Smile Doctors on November 28th, and they evidently gave a bunch of us, maybe all of us, a $50 gift card to Amazon. I've already added it to my account. And so Dirk, you say, shit, yeah, love both of those. Well, if you want to, and you can, Dirk, feel free to come in live on the stream if you want to next Thursday when I talk about those two. I would love to have somebody else on the stream with me. If you can't, that's cool as well. But I did get a $50 gift card from my employer for Amazon, and I haven't spent any of it yet. Steve also gave me a $25 gift card for early Christmas. So I've got about 70 something dollars in the, I guess $75 in there right now that I can spend on something. I just haven't had a chance to actually sit down and look at stuff and see what I want to get. So things are going splendidly with the job. I'm not saying there might not be days where I'm going to get agitated. Like yesterday, I was dealing with a bitchy woman, but I was just like, I stayed calm, I stayed professional, and got my supervisor on the phone with me while we were handling this, because the woman, somebody told me they thought she was a practice director too, but the office that she works for, the clinic she works for, already has a practice director. She's listed as a financial coordinator. I was like, what is she freaking doing fooling with the x-ray machines and calling us up on the help desk? Why wasn't the practice director or somebody else in charge of doing that? So she called us up and said that they were going to have patients coming in soon, and they couldn't do 3D x-rays, and they need to have this, we need to get this fixed and stuff. And I was like, Brenda, we're working on it, and my supervisor didn't admonish me or anything for saying it that way. I was just, we could only do what we could do. And even my supervisor was a little perplexed at first about what do we do? And he got the director of operations on the phone for IT and said, hey, we got this issue. What do we do here? Do we need to restart the server or what? Because this woman, before I called my supervisor, she was telling me it was timing out on the server end. And they were using something called OrthoTrack. And I said, oh, okay, I dealt with one of these the other day. And let me look up or let me try what I did last time. But she didn't want me, like she kept telling me, you can't log into the terminal server. And I wanted to say, well, that's how I did with every other one. That's how you guys access it. She said, no, you're going to have to get on the actual server. And I was like, something's not kosher with this. That's what I was thinking. And that's why I got my supervisor on the phone, because I thought, I'm not going to get into an argument with this woman and have her tell me what server I need to be on to do something. So when I got the supervisor on the phone, he just basically did restart the server, but then he told me that we needed that thing called the golden key, which we had another guy put on there. And then I had another help desk person tell me later that sometimes that golden key thing is there, but it's not on the desktop. I know you guys don't know high nor hair about, golden keys and stuff, but it's just something that's part of that software. And last time we had a problem with it timing out at, I don't remember if it was the same location or what. I think it was a different location, but anyways, doesn't really matter. The golden key thing was what worked. But my supervisor just went on and restarted the server, the Hyper-V server. And then, like I said, the other guy put the golden key on there. Oh, we got her up and running. She was good. But I hope I didn't bore anybody with that. I still do got 7 people in here. So, again, I know that things might, go south at times with this job. As with any job, but I'm not going to give up hope, because everybody has good days and bad days at work. But I still think it is leaps and bounds better than stockyards. And excuse my language, but fuck you, stockyards. I wish I had never, ever, ever heard of that place. I am so glad to be working for Smile Doctors. I don't give a shit if Stockyard sees this. I don't care. I'm separated from them. They're not giving me any money anymore. And so I don't care. I'm going to tell anybody and everybody not to go work for these jokers. And TJ, that is a good point to bring up. You say, work is work, good and bad, as long as you're not miserable. Exactly. And I am not miserable, TJ, but I was miserable at Stockyards. And my stomach turns when I even see a Stockyards bank now in Louisville. It just, I don't know. It haunts me. Even though I know I'm away from it and I never have to go back there, I never have to deal with their bullshit again. It's just that whole experience left a bad taste in my mouth. But so anyway, might have a few more things coming up next week. I don't know. It depends on how work goes, how tired I am, if I get rid of this cold or whatever. But you guys will be the first to know if I do anything. Other than my dinner with the Palma and the New Year's Eve watch along. Yep, Dirk, that is right. Yeah, in a perfect world, happiness wouldn't exist. So, anyway, guys, with that being said, I want to thank everybody for joining me in the chat here, and even for those of you that maybe weren't participating in the chat, but you were watching this, and also for people that will watch it later. I really appreciate it. But with all of that being said, I am going to skedaddle on out of here for the night, and I will see everyone on the flip side. Y'all have a good night now and a Merry Christmas.